Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I speak with trading lifestyle leader Troy Noonan. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here, Jason.
Awesome. And today we're going to talk about how to build a $10,000 per month trading business in 30 minutes. We only have 15 for this episode, so we'll see if we can condense everything down. You call yourself a backpack trader. What do you mean by a backpack trader? What's that kind of thinking or methodology?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked because it sets the tone on my whole message. But the backpack trader is really the symbol of freedom that you get if you get trading right. So you don't have to backpack. You could trade from your own sofa, the Orient Express, anywhere in between. That's what I always say. You get to call your own shots. And if you do it right, you should only be able to it should only cost you like an hour a day or less for day trading. If you have I'm all about trade plans, and you run the
Yeah.
trade plan like a business, and then you could give yourself that lifestyle. And also, my story came from that. So my
Interesting.
earliest trade sent me on a backpacking trip where I experienced a level of freedom I had never known yet in my life. It ended up leading to meeting my wife. We're having our
Wow.
30-year anniversary this year.
Congratulations. That's a
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
story. I mean, so you traveled, you backpacked, something you mentioned something about your first trade and then you met your wife. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about unpacking the backpack.
Right.
What was the first trade that you said kind of brought you down this path?
Well, when I first started learning how to trade, I had received a brochure in the mail showing chart patterns and what it could lead to, and with examples. And it was way back. I mean, it was before the internet. I
Right,
was
right.
getting, so I got interested. I was doing a business at the time. It was very busy. It was killing me. And ultimately, just to make it really short, I learned a pattern. I saw it occur in the British pound, and I ended up shorting the British pound against the US dollar. And that was during the same price action that became infamously known as the trade that broke the Bank of England.
Yeah,
Although I did,
because I noticed historically the pound is always worth more than the dollar. Like it's usually like a dollar for a pound 25 or something, right? It's always like more money to in British pounds, right? Is that right?
yeah, in those days, I think it was like 2 to 1 or something that
2 to 1.
dropped
Whoa.
25% in a short period of time,
So you were
thus
able to
breaking
catch
the
that
Bank of
short.
England. But it wasn't me that broke the Bank of England. I unwittingly,
Right. You just traded that whole right. And
well, a famous trader by the name of George Soros made
George Soros,
billions
yeah, Wall Street.
breaking the Bank of England. I happened to be on that price action that I learned from a brochure in the mail. And so,
Very interesting.
yeah, so he made billions. I took the several grand I made, backpacked through Europe for 3.5 months, and it led me to meeting my wife in Venezuela,
Wow.
actually. And here we
Very
are.
cool.
He made billions. I made a wife and kids. So,
Hey, which one's
backpack
worth
trader.
more? Which one's worth more is kind of a topic of debate, right?
Yeah, the backpack trader was born, although I didn't realize it at the time. And then in the late 90s, during the dot-com boom,
Yeah.
internet
Or
cafes,
and bust.
not yet. That
Right.
came after.
Right.
That led me on a very important part of my journey, actually. But before that, when the boom was happening, all you had to
Right.
do was buy anything and you make money. And
Yeah.
I thought I was such a great trader. You know, the
Of course.
overconfidence is
Buying
very,
during a bull market is always genius trading, right?
yeah.
It's being
But
able to survive during the bear market. That's the tough part. So, and
well,
let's talk about that for a second. I mean, there are myths associated with trading that keep people stuck in like a vicious cycle of, buy low, sell high, but then it doesn't always happen that way. So, what are some of the myths that you've seen in the trading world that hold people back from succeeding?
myths or just tendencies and behavioral things, because what I find is that people take trades without it being part of a plan that they've been able to prove will work. And so I'm a big believer that you can prove your trade plan will make you money before you risk your money, and that
Yeah.
that's where your effort has to go. And I use the metaphor of I use several metaphors, but one that's easy to understand is how well you prep a room for painting, right?
Right.
The better you prep, the better the paint job. And the painting part's the easy part, right?
Right.
Most of it's in the prep. So we call that pre production. And if you
Yeah.
put your effort into creating a trade plan in the proper way, and these are the things that I focus on teaching my members and then following the steps properly, you could literally prove the trade plan will make you money before you risk your money. That's why I always say trading's the best business in the world. Like, what else can you do that? What other
Yeah,
business?
it's true. And you mentioned pre-planning, setting up the paint. But well, it's not just setting up the plastic on the ground, but there's a lot of other things you got to do. So there's probably a lot of mistakes people make when they start to trade. What are the most common mistakes you've seen that people make when they say they want to start trading?
They take random trades. I mean, for me, a lot of people spend their time with radar screens hunting for certain trades that they believe are going to work. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. Some will and some won't. That's always the case with trading. So the mistake that most people do is they don't, the number one mistake people make is they don't know why they're trading in the first place. And it's reflected in their
Uh,
behavior. So they think they're trading to make money. That's like the obvious reason to trade.
of course.
But subconsciously, they're trading for a different reason. And the way we know that is because of the things that they're doing don't match up with that reason. The real reason to trade is to make money, right? So the next question is, well, how do I make money if that's my reason? Well, first you have to do the things to make money. And it's all about creating a trade plan that you can prove, because that's the only way to be sure you can make money trading. So why do anything else then? So if you're doing other things, chances are you're excited by trading. It's fun. You want to prove how smart you are. A lot of people get self-validation that they feel like they need a reason why they exist in the world. I mean, when you peel back all the onion layers, you get to the core, it's all reflected in the actions and the behaviors that people do. And if
Yeah.
it's not congruent 100% with your reason for trading to make money, that's the number one mistake. And it's also what most people do.
Yeah,
Like,
and I noticed too, like with trading, because I've been trading for probably over a decade at this point, and I've noticed that it first of all, it's a lot of work. I mean, you have to put in the work. You have to be constantly analyzing trends and reading the charts. You got a whole bunch of charts behind you right now, and it's a lot of work in understanding the market, because a lot of times trading has nothing to do with the charts and has everything to do with what the media is saying and what the geopolitical situation is and what the news is saying about a certain stock or a crypto or whatnot. So then we have very famous people out there who are rich and they've traded for decades saying the easiest way to trade is to buy and hold for, 20 years, 40 years. And the 8 to 10% you'll earn every year in the S&P 500, for example, is almost a guarantee historically. So let's talk about the buy and hold mentality versus the trading mentality and the differences between the two. I mean, some of them are obvious, but some of them maybe not so obvious.
well, buy and hold to me is more like an investment, right? You could buy a house, you could hold that too, or anything else, artwork. Why does it have to be,
True.
100 shares of Apple? That's probably a good thing to have bought and hold. My,
Yeah.
my parents did really well with that. My grandfather. Uh, so, but trading is where you're looking. See, I don't agree with a little bit of what you said. In all due
Sure.
respect, my
No,
approach
no,
is totally
that's
different.
great.
I think it should be very simple. I think trading should be very simple. You put the effort in. Here's a great analogy. You put a lot of effort into building a house,
Mhm.
right? It takes effort. You got to dig the ditches, to lay the
Build the
rebar, the
foundation.
gravel, to pour the
Yeah.
foundation, and all the things that go into. All right, so that's a big effort, right? Let's call that pre-production. It's another word for that. But how hard is it to open the door and walk through and live in your house once it's built?
Right.
Not hard.
Right. Just walk around.
So,
Yeah.
so that to me is what the purpose of a trade plan is. So the building of the trade plan is the building of the house. Running the trade plan is as simple as following some mechanical rules, because you've already proven if you do, you will grow your account. And if you
Okay.
apply then smart money management, you ask, how do you make $10,000 a month from trading? How
Yep.
am I going to teach that in 15 minutes? You're probably down to 10 minutes now.
Yep.
Here's the formula. If you can make $50 a day average net profit, $50 a day, I mean, that's not even a tank of gasoline. And where I live, it's half a tank of gasoline, right? You fill your car halfway up once a day. And you can do that. That's when you net out all wins and losses. So $50 a day per contract with the right money management formula. If you're starting with a $20,000 account, within 2 years, there's a formula to grow that to a $10,000 a month income.
Interesting.
And that's not $50 a trade. It's $50 net profit per
Net
day
profit per day.
per
So
contract.
So you might have multiple trades, and at the end of the day, wins and losses, you earned $50 net profit total,
Or one trade.
or one trade. Yeah,
Better one trade, right? If you
yeah,
do it in 2 minutes, it's better than taking 5 hours.
and you mentioned some rules associated with succeeding in the trades. Do you have like maybe the top two rules or top three rules you can give us?
Yeah. So, well, okay. So when we go to test a trade plan to see if we could prove, the whole idea of proving that you can make money trading is so that you could acquire the belief in it to place that next trade,
Right.
right? Because the hardest part is when you place a trade, you're trading into something that hasn't happened yet into the future, hoping something will happen. And it doesn't always work out the way we hope, right? So the
Can't control the
rules
market.
have to be usually if it's a day trade plan, I got a short list of rules like what's the start time, what's your stopping time, what's the strategy you're going to use, what's the market and chart. Like you define everything and then you set out to prove that if you just do these trades every day, maybe it's an hour a day or less, that you can make that $50 a day average net profit minimum, maybe more, and
So
grow that.
the rule could be something like, do I want to trade on the 15-minute candle, the 4-hour candle, the 1-day candle? Do I want to enter at market open, market close? Do I want to do after hours for other types of assets? Do I want to do things that have high volume, low volume, micro cap, macro cap? Is that what we're talking about? Like picking all the different variables in each type of.
But with guidance. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, but that's what
yeah.
I'm wondering, because that's what people are going to want to ask here is, what are those situations? What are those rules? And I guess you have to learn about all of them and then decide which one you're most comfortable with. So
Well,
in doing so, are there some tools that you use in order to
yeah,
figure all this out?
totally. First of all, I have a lot of strategies that I've created, and they work the way they work. And also, there's two big philosophical points that I think that it's helpful to start from.
Okay.
And one of them is that the price action can't hide. It's out in the
Mm,
open. There it
yeah.
is. Can't hide from you, me, anyone. We all see it. And so, because the price action reflects human nature, which is reflected in the collective wisdom of the market, right? Buyers, sellers, those on the sidelines coming in, those going out, those groups, right? Patterns repeat. Price patterns happen over and over and over and over and over, and they tend to happen on all time frames, all charts, all markets, some more than others, but
Right.
and some are better than others. But the point is that because a pattern happens over and over, and the price action is what it is,
Right.
if it's happened enough times, we have a big enough sample set to predict what's likely to happen after that pattern,
Right.
right? So
Those are the trends.
the other philosophical point that I find very helpful, and I learned this at a young age, is that the immediate past can predict the immediate future with a high degree of accuracy. It can, but you have to know how. But what I'm
Right.
saying is that the thing that just happened made that price pattern that's happened so many times that we now have a big enough sample set to predict what's likely to happen next.
Right.
That's what makes for a great trade. And if you start with that concept, then you could isolate that and create a trade plan around it. And the trade plan would then include the chart you use. And I'm not going to say I'm a fan of time-based charts, like a 15-minute, a 4-hour, whatever. I think those take too long. I don't
Okay.
need another job. I want to get in and out and done. If I'm
Right.
done in 2 minutes, I'm happy. So one of the rules we use is something I have in my 12 Powers ebook that I give away. But it's
Okay.
called the power of quitting. Because
Nice.
when you hit your goals, it empowers you to quit trading for the day. Your job's done. You come
Right.
back again tomorrow. And it might take one trade. It might take 3 or 4 trades on some days, maybe 4 up to 7, maybe.
Yeah.
But whatever the trade plan says, it's all proven in advance. So you hit those goals, you're done. Power of quitting, and one example I have of that is a live trade I did in a cafe in Florence. I was backpack tradering again
Nice.
last summer, and I had someone filming it from behind me, and I was recording on my screen. It was a trade plan, and we could talk about the markets that I recommend for this, but it was crude oil, trading crude oil futures, and it was a 2-minute trade. It literally hit the entry and blasted through all the targets, and I was out faster than you could sneeze. And
Faster
then
you can finish the coffee at the cafe.
I've had a couple sips, and meanwhile later that day I'm in a bar joking around with people I've just met, and they asked me what I did for a living, and I looked at them with a real straight face, like, I work 2 minutes a day. What do you do for
Yeah, I'm wearing my backpack. That's my job. And,
and it was
and,
great because
and we're
when I told them
actually
what I did, their eyes glazed over, and then we started talking about our favorite pizza, which was what
nice.
we're talking about. But anyway, the point is that the demonstration of doing that live in a cafe from anywhere, backpack trader style, and hitting my goals within 2 minutes was a demonstration of
How
exactly what the backpack
yeah,
trader is all about.
makes a ton of sense. And if people wanted to learn this strategy from you directly, where would they go to find you?
Yeah, good question. So I have a special offer for your guests, by the way.
Awesome.
And if they want to text a message to a phone number in our Instagram, I can give you that. Maybe
Okay.
put it in the show notes. And they could also go to backpacktrader.com/podcast.
Okay.
And then finally, I answer all emails, troy@backpacktrader.com. So let me, how about if I put this in the notes here so you have them?
All right. And everyone, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll check out backpacktrader.com if you want more information. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.